Hey, welcome back to Karen's Papercraft. Thank you very much for watching. Wat leuk dat je weer kijkt. Dankjewel. How about this card? Isn't it pretty? I've used the Dainty Flowers Designer Series paper, which you can earn for free during celebration, and it goes together with a Dainty Delight stamp set and die set. And I've used no sentiment because, well, I often make a card without a sentiment because that means you can use it for more than one occasion. If you'd like to find out how I made it, come and join me. Blijf gezellig kijken. Here's a close-up look at the card, and you can see that I've put the Designer Series paper panel on the inside as well, which I think is a really nice look. Okay, I'll show you what supplies that I have used. The Dainty Delight stamp set with the coordinating dies. I've used a couple of blocks, I, H, 2 times, a lot of stamping blends. On my blog you can see all the colours that I've used. I'm not going into detail here. I'm going to stamp in Evening Evergreen. I'm using the Brick and Mortar 3D emboss folder, which gives a really nice effect. Then there's the, what's it called, the window pane check ribbon, which is really lovely, look. And lastly, for the embellishments, I'm going to use the brushed brass butterflies. Here they are. And then I'll show you the paper. I have a piece of basic white, a scrap piece, to do the stamping of the flowers. This is one of the sheets of the celebration paper, and I think it is called, oh gosh, Dainty Flowers. You can earn this for free during celebration. I'm going to use vellum cardstock and I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz, and I'll start by making the card base to show you. Oops. This is an A4 sheet, and I'm going to cut it in half at 5 3/4, which is longer than cardstock for those of you who work in letter. You could leave it at 5 1/2, that's no problem. And because this is A4, it is 8 1/4 across. So I'm going to score it at 4 1/8. If you work in letter, you can definitely have 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, because your paper has a slightly different size. In centimeters, this would be 14.6 by 21. And with the long side top, I've scored it at 4 1/8, which means in centimeters 10.5 centimeters. Forgot to tell you about that. Then I'm going to cut the Designer Series paper. And I'm going to cut this just a bit longer than necessary. And this is 12 by 12, 30.5 by 30.5. And I'm going to cut it first in half at 6 inches. If you put it in your trimmer against this edge, that is 6 inches. And then I need 2 pieces, 15.2 centimeters that is, sorry about that. You need 2 pieces which are 6 by 3 3/8 or 15.2 by 8.6 centimeters. So 3 3/8. There we go. The first one and the second one. These then are for the card base. You need a piece of vellum. While I have my trimmer out, I'm cutting that as well. And your vellum piece, now I've put my paper on top of my notes, sorry about that. Your vellum piece needs to be 5 inches by 2 5/8 or 12.7 by 6.6 centimeters. So 5 by 2 5/8. That is to make the wall with, and 2 5/8. Okay. I'm going to show you a trick on how to adhere these 2 panels easily. I've cut them a bit longer than necessary. If you have a 5.5-inch card, you even have more pieces sticking out. This helps me to position it where I want it. And I'm going to put glue on there and there, and then a bit there and in the middle as well. Don't go all the way to the edge of the card, because your mat won't be towards the edge of the card. And you see there's no need to put any glue there, because I've put it there, but this way I make sure that there's no glue sticking out, and then I can look from the top and see if I've put it nearly in the middle and on straight, which I have, and then you can press down, and when it's adhered you can cut off these two bits that you don't need. And by doing it like this, you make sure that these edges really look beautiful. I've tried cutting the cardstock to size and then adhering it, and if I do it that way I never get a nice result. This works better for me. I'm going to do the same thing with the other panel. Now you have to make sure that it's the same way up. So if I want to put it on my card like that, you see, I have to make sure that you don't stick it on upside down. Just a tip, ask me how I find out. So you can see this is how you make the card base. I'll show you how I make the vellum wall for the flowers to go on, and I'm using the 3D emboss folder for that, and I'm going to use my stamp cut and emboss machine as well. This is a 3D emboss folder, which means that you need just 2 plates, and it's written on the plate, so it's easy as a reference. You see, you can read there, for die cutting you need these plates. Now, standard emboss folders you need these 2 plates, and with the 3D embossing folder you just need the base plate and the grey one. Also important is that whenever you run it through with the hinge part first. That way you don't crack your folder, you might otherwise damage it. Okay, so I'm putting this one in straight. And look how pretty this is. You can see particularly well on the dark grey background. See, it really looks like a wall. How do I adhere this? Well, very simple. I use a piece of tear and tape. The glue will show through the vellum, but because I'm putting the flowers on top, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't show anymore because of the flowers. And I'm using vellum, tear and tape, tear and tape, because it gives a good hold. Then you put this on in the middle, and you can see that the tear and tape barely shows. And as I said, I'm going to put the flowers on top anyway, so I'm putting my card over here now, and then I'll show you how I make the flowers. Dainty Delight stamp sets, and I'm going to use the large one and that one and the one with the flowers I can colour in. There's another one which is more difficult to colour, and I like that one better for this card. I'm going to put these on my block, then I'm going to stamp and do some embossing, and I'm stamping them in green, Granny Apple Green, listen to me, Evening Evergreen. I have a new light, but it means that there's even less space on my desk, so I've put things behind me, but when I put things on top I don't find them anymore, I'll have to think of a way to overcome that problem. I'm going to stamp and heat emboss, and I'm going to use the clear emboss powder for that, and I'm going to be really quick with my embossing. As long as the ink is still wet, you can put the emboss powder on top. And I'm doing this because I want to colour with the Stampin' Blends, and I don't want black. I thought it was just too dark. So I've stamped, and then immediately I'm pouring over the emboss powder. If you're quick about it, and I don't think you could see that, but believe me, here is my emboss powder, you see. And I'm going to repeat that with the other two stamps. I'll try to work in view. Will this one fit? I don't think. Oops! Butterfingers. It will fit there, because I have to die cut them as well. So here you see I'm pouring over the powder quickly when the ink is still wet. It will take enough powder to be able to heat emboss, and I put that little one next to this one, and there we go. And then put the powder over, and then I can heat emboss. I'm going to do the colouring, and I've used Old Olive for all the leaves, and I'm going to use different colours for all the flowers. I'll do that, and when I've finished that I'll be back with you. I don't think I explained to you really well why I've used the Evening Evergreen, because normally if you use your blends you want to use something like what's it called again, Memento ink, but I thought the black was just too black for this project, so I've chosen the Evening Evergreen. But then if you want to use your blends, you'd have to heat emboss, otherwise your colours will bleed, so that is why I used the heat embossing. And with this method, of course, you can heat emboss in any colour that you like. I'll show you how I coloured the larger elements, so the larger leaves and the larger flowers. I start with the light one. This is Orchid Oasis. So from the middle, I just colour the leaves, and then I'm using the dark one to give some depth, and then you go over it again and blend in the colours outward, and you get a natural looking flower. Here too, first I colour. Some people prefer to start with the dark and then use the light. I tend to use the light first, don't know why. It's a matter of preference, I suppose. And if you want to add more dark, you can, and blend it in again. And then you die cut this one as well. In this set of dies, there are some really pretty. I haven't used those yet, but I've got some projects. I'm brooding on more projects, let me put it that way. I know I tend to do my die cutting off camera because there's very little room on my desk for the emboss machine, even the little one. So you have to believe me that I die cut it, which I did. Okay, so here you have the 3 flower elements and the card, and now it's just a matter of putting them on, and I just stick it slightly over that wall, the other one a bit like that, and then the other one goes like that. And I want to keep the stems together because you want to put the bow on top, and if you have this one going straight, you'll see a gap there, which doesn't really look well, it doesn't look nice, I think. And I'm going to use my Seal Plus, just tiny pieces. It's not a problem when they're not really affixed all the way through. I think it has a nice effect even if they stick up a bit more flower-like. There we are. There was no glue at the very end. So put it towards the right, but stick the bottom of your bunch towards the left a bit. This one is more tricky because it's tiny, but it will work. You can take off one strip and again like that. Okay, and then all you have to do is make a little bow, and I'm going to attach this bow with the mini glue dots. I'll put my reading glasses over there. So, tying a bow. This is all twisted. 2 loops. You put the left one over the right, and then you pull that left one through, and then you let go and you pull tight and adjust the size of your loops. If you make them really small and then pull, see, you get, I think this is the right dimension. So I'm going to cut off the end there. My scissors are sticky. And there, okay. Then I'm going to use a cigarette lighter to make sure that the ends don't fray. Be careful with your cigarette lighter. This is all the waste that I have, you see, if you leave it on the spool. So very briefly touch upon the edge. Did you hear that? That was my husband sneezing. He's 2 rooms away, 2 doors closed. The man can sneeze for Holland. Okay, then mini glue dots. I'm putting on 2 and I'm looking which end of the bow looks nicest. That's this one. So 1 glue dot there, another one towards the right a bit, so that I have them at oh my, that's better. So I have 2, you see, 1 on either side of the knot, and then you can put it on the card. And it's finished. Oh, I didn't use my bone folder to make sure the card stays shut. You can always do this afterwards, you see. Give it a good press. There you are, a very pretty card. You know what? I completely forgot to add the brushed brass butterflies, and they do make the card. They're really pretty. So, having said that, I can say that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Dank je wel voor het kijken en see you next time. Bye bye, tot ziens.